to do it, I want to make a filling first. So I'm going to start with, heating up a little olive oil in a frying pan. So I want, maybe about, I'd say 2 tablespoons. And I'm using extra virgin olive oil because that's what I like to cook with. And you know that that comes from the very first pressing of the olives. Now for the filling, I want to use a little bit of prosciutto. And Joe let me taste an awful lot of the different types that he had. And today I want, about 1/4 pound. That's about 6 slices. And these are very thin slices. So I'm just going to grab a little. Now all I want to do here is give this just a very coarse chop. Nothing fancy. I'm going to get my heat up here a little bit on my olive oil. And what I'm going to do is just cook the prosciutto in the olive oil until it starts to crisp up a little bit. So that looks pretty good. So this is nothing fancy about this filling. It's just something that's very simple but very good. So in that goes, and I'm going to let that cook a little while. And so I've got here, this is a lot of spinach, and I'm going to get it all in there, I think, a little bit all over the stove, but that's okay. I'm going to get that all in there, and I'm going to cook this now without any extra water in my pan on about medium-high heat. And we'll let that cook, maybe about 3 or 4 minutes, and just let it wilt down. Now that's the way my grandmother used to cook spinach, not in boiling water. And when you're done, you'll have something that looks like this. And that is ready to be drained. So I've got to take this over to the sink, and I need my colander now. So over that goes. And that's really still a little too hot for me to handle. Let me show you. You know, spinach has about 90% water in it. And maybe you can see the water that's coming out of here. And I had, about 1.25 pounds of spinach to start with. And this is going to really drain out to be, about 2 cups, which is what I'm going to need for this recipe. So this still needs to drain a lot more. And if that was cooler, I could put my hands into it, but I can't. So while it's still cooling a little bit, I'm going to grate my cheese. Maybe about 3 or 4 tablespoons of cheese. And boy, does that smell good already. Actually, I should just break this up a little bit because I've got too much cheese here now. And I still have to get this water out. So I'm not going to fool around anymore. Nope, I'm just using my hands and just getting all of that water out. I've got to chop this up. So I'm going to put this out on my board. Get rid of this. Now, for the spinach, all you want to do is cut that up coarsely too. So just give it a little chop. And I probably could have gotten just a little bit more water out of this, but I don't think this is going to matter. And that looks good. And now let me see how we're doing here. All right. Smells wonderful. So now I'm going to lower the heat a little bit and add the spinach. So in that goes. Doesn't this look good already? And this is good for you and a great way to get your iron intake for the day. And add some coarse black pepper. So, maybe about a good teaspoon, teaspoon and a half. And then at the very end, I can add my cheese. I can just turn off the heat and add my cheese. Now you see, that didn't take very long at all, you see. Now this is really good for you, and it's not fattening either. So here's my cheese. I'm just going to dump that in and move that around a little bit. And it's just very colorful. And now we're going to let that cool down a little bit because we don't want to put that into our bread while it's hot. So I'm just going to move that to the back to cool a little bit. And when it's cooled, let me show you what that looks like. And there it is, all nice and cooled down and ready to be put into the torta part. So now it's time to make that torta. And I should really let you in on the secret, right? And that starts with flour. So here I have, about 3.5 cups of unbleached flour. Now I told you this was a flat bread, and this recipe comes from Umbria. And the Umbrians add just a little bit of baking soda, and that's going to give this bread just a tiny rise. Tiny now, not very much. So to the flour goes the baking soda. And then you just want to mix that up real well so that the baking soda is really distributed throughout the flour. So that's easy. And then after you have the dry ingredients mixed, try to be a little neater than I am, then you want to add an egg. So 1 egg and, some olive oil. And I'm using extra virgin olive oil because I like to use that in all of my cooking. And I want about, 3 tablespoons. I'm just going to eyeball this for you. There, that looks like about 3 tablespoons. And then some more of that Romano cheese. And here I've got about 6 tablespoons of grated Romano. So in that goes. And all you want to do is give that a little mix, you see, because you're going to add this right to that flour. In it goes. And all I want to do now is just mix that up. And I'm going to do that a mano. So get your hands in there. And now you want to add some water. And here you're going to need, maybe a half a cup, maybe a little bit more. So I just add a little bit at a time, but about a half a cup. So start adding the water gradually. And now I can take this out, you see. There's my dough. And now I have to knead this until it's nice and smooth. If you put that over to the side and put a bowl over the top of it, it'll be a little easier to roll if you go back to it in about 10 minutes. So there's my ball that needs to hang around a little while on the board. And here's one that's all ready to go. So I can work with this. And you see how nice and soft that is. So now I need just a little bit more flour. So I need more flour on my board. Isn't this simple? This is really a very simple recipe. And now, what I like to do to this is sort of just roll it out. And I'm going to make 6 breads out of this. You see? Overlapping circles. Now don't go so deep that you're going to cut right through the dough. So now, I need to give it a few little fork marks. So, just a few. And that helps to keep this dough from puffing up. Because after all, it does have a little baking soda in it. And you see the design is on the other side. So now that can go in my skillet. And it goes in a dry skillet. So I'm going to turn that up, to about 350, 375, and put it face down in the skillet to cook. And you see how beautiful they look. And they have retained their impression, you see. And they're very nicely cooked on the other side. And you just want these to be pale. And they pick up those little brown spots as they cook. So now, I got to show you what that looks like when it's ready to be filled. But first I have to clean off I just take these and then I cut them, you see, in half, like so. And you can get 2 sandwiches out of one. And then I take a little bit of that filling and I put it right on top, like that. Notice how neat I am. I'm not getting spinach anywhere. The worst place to have it, of course, is on your teeth. But I know you'll be very neat when you eat these. And then you just put the tops on, you see, like so. It makes a very nice little sandwich. And that's all there is to torta sul testo.